little long break, but we're back and ready to talk about X-Men 97. How was your break?
That's right.
Did you do
Breaks are nice. Breaks are good.
I like breaks. I think I just kind of want to be in a constant break.
Yeah, I hear you, dude.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we went to see some friends, and we stayed at a hotel for over a couple of nights and hung out there for a little bit.
Nice. Yeah.
Kind of relaxed and lounged. And now we're back to work and back to the podcast and back to watching X-Men. And we got X-Men 97 next week, right? What is that, Tuesday?
It's on the 20th.
That is, so the day's Sunday, so it's going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Sounds perfect. How many episodes we got? Do you know?
Well, they're dropping 2 on the 20th. Mm-hmm. I think there's 10 total.
And hopefully they're going to do it. So they're not going to drop all 10 at once, right? It's going to be every. Okay.
Right. They're doing 2 and then they're doing weekly after that.
That's actually going to be. Well, so if they have 10 total, that's going to be fine. But the original episodes, what, like 20 episodes?
There was a lot. It was like 17 a series or something like that.
Yeah. This is something I've been thinking about. When you look at like Netflix and like Amazon Prime and stuff like that, like shows like The Expanse or anything like that, those seasons are far shorter than the seasons we're used to as kids. Like the TV shows as kids, like Star Trek had like 20 seasons, like 20 episodes a season, like or 15 episodes, and like it just seemed normal. Like,
what was The Sopranos like?
I didn't watch The Sopranos.
You didn't watch The Sopranos?
No, I didn't watch. My wife watched it.
Okay.
I don't understand the big deal about it. It's like,
it's a good show.
I guess it's a lot of good shows.
It's well made, well acted, well shot.
I'm just not interested in it. I'm just not.
All right. Well, like
how many episodes do they have?
I don't know. Because they're kind of the start of television changing, right? Becoming more like movies. I don't remember exactly. I think they're maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, the reason
TV shows used to have a ton of them.
Yeah, because they were cheap to make.
Right,
it wasn't expensive to make.
Like a lot of the animation in this show is a 1-second animation that's on a loop.
And it's like
like you have a crowd of protesters. They animated 1 second and then they looped it.
Oh yeah, even that was hard. And they even had production issues as in different seasons. I think season 2 and 3 had some production issues. They couldn't show all the episodes, and they had to do a mix.
Oh really?
Yeah. So it wasn't like.
I was surprised at the quality of the video. It looks like they took this off of a VHS tape.
Well, I mean, Mike, come on. Back in the 90s, 97, this was prime cartooning. It looked amazing.
No, but their cartoons were better looking than what we're watching now. Like it doesn't seem like they archived this at all, like in any reasonable way. It really seems like they found some VHS tapes in a vault, and that's how they transferred it to digital.
Yeah, it looks terrible. It looks
because it's fuzzy. It's fuzzy looking.
Yeah, it looks.
It's got that VHS tape fuzz to it.
Yeah, it looks bad, and it's actually jarring. If you watched, I remember when Batman the Animated Series came out, it was jarring to me how good that looked compared to X-Men, which looks not good.
Right.
But the animated quality is just not good. And of course, if you compare X-Men to like the anime that was coming out at the time, it's not great. But it's cheap, so they can kind of just make a bunch of them.
So our original intent was to basically watch all of these episodes and kind of prepare the listener for what's coming next.
That was an ambitious goal, and I think that was a lot. That was a lot to go. I mean, I think that's something we could have done and tried, but we did the best we could. We watched this. Mike watched more than I did. I watched about 4. Mike watched about 6, 7. How many did you watch, Mike?
Maybe 8.
All right,
maybe 8. So including I watched the last episode.
There you go. So you've watched way more than I have. And so that's great. And so, but I still have my. It
was tough though. It's like it's not good.
But I still have my encyclopedia-like knowledge of X-Men and cartoons,
right?
So I can hold my own in a conversation.
I really remembered liking this show when I watched it originally.
I actually loved it
when it came out.
And one of the things that I noticed when I was doing the rewatch, and now I remembered, is the amount of characters they just dumped in here. Every X-Men you could possibly imagine, they were just throwing it. They didn't care. We're just going to have a great time. which was really impressive. They just tossed them in, and it shows the limitations of live action that you just can't do that with live action.
Right.
But with
Colossus showed up in one of the episodes.
Yeah, like Archangel shows up. Like, you got Dazzler, you got all these people, you got the Mojo verse and all this other stuff. It's like really, really amazing.
I believe there were some Spider-Man crossover
there
episodes,
was a Spider-Man.
but I didn't watch any of those.
There was. And it was just, it's like incredible. But like looking back at it, it's just, I don't know if it's still as incredible or it's just kind of sloppy. And I'm curious.
Well, it doesn't hold up to like. So I've got kids, so I've watched cartoons, like modern cartoons. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe that's too much of a great show to compare this to, but I mean they're both kids cartoons, and this doesn't hold a candle to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm-mm.
It's really bad. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is way better. Like the modern Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons that I've watched. This was like this. The theme song still is so warms my heart to hear the theme song because I really enjoyed watching all these shows. But it's not holding up to a rewatch for me, at least.
Can a reboot hinge on a theme song in order to get people to watch it? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I think
for
so.
sure.
I think so, 100%.
I'm still looking forward to it. I mean, it's got to be better, right? Like it's gonna take everything.
Here's what I'm excited.
It's gonna have modern cartoon learnings applied to the X-Men.
Yeah, here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about watching these because they'll be a little shorter. You can just watch them like probably 30 minutes, probably be done with it.
Right.
It's episodic, so we're going to get one a week. I'm excited about that, and I'm excited. I just feel like watching all the old episodes was just too much to try to encapsulate. But watching these one at a time is going to be really fun. And I'm here. And here's the deal, and people might not know this: the X-Men animated series is based off of a lot of Chris Claremont's work. Mike, who do you know about Chris Claremont?
I don't know who he is. No.
Chris Claremont is a writer. He wrote the X-Men for a very long period of time. He was in charge or did the Phoenix Saga with Jean Grey and the X-Men.
There's a lot of episodes of the show that are about Phoenix. There's the Phoenix Saga series of episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the season 3 is like mostly about Phoenix.
The animated series is basically Chris Claremont, right? All the stuff that he was doing in the 90s. And I remember the X-Men comic book was extremely popular in the 90s, especially when the X-Men rebooted and they had the Uncanny X-Men, but then they had this regular X-Men that was done by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. It was a super big deal when it came out. And then you had X-Force, X-Factor, there was another X team. I forget what it is. And that's kind of set the stage for years to come. And so Chris Claremont... Generation X, that came a little bit later. But yeah, so Chris Claremont's stamp is all over this. And so I have a kind of idea about what you're going to see with the X-Men 97, but I know you got some questions. So let's go through your questions real quick, and then I'll get some predictions.
I noticed there were a couple of episodes of this series that was called Days of Future Past.
We talked about this.
Did we? What did we talk about?
Do you remember watching the movie Days of Future Past?
I regrettably do. Yes.
Okay, so we've went through this ad nauseum. Okay,
were you talking about the cartoon or the comic book at the time? You were talking about the comic book, right?
But they're both. I'm talking about the comic book, the cartoon, the movie. They're all telling the same
I don't
story.
think you brought up the cartoon.
Okay, I did not bring the cartoon.
I think you were just talking about the comics.
But it's the same deal.
I was surprised to see that title showed up in the cartoon.
What?
Because I remember it.
Chris Claremont was the one who did that whole thing.
So he did. That was my question.
Yeah, he handled all that.
Yeah.
He did. He did.
I hope those episodes of the cartoon are better than the movie was.
Oh my god, dude! The movie's great. Everybody loves this movie. I do not understand.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I do want to say one thing. Chris Claremont.
I might go back and watch those 2 episodes of the cartoon.
Okay. Chris Claremont did a lot of work with the X-Men, but he doesn't own any of it. And so that's really something that we don't talk about much. All this stuff that's
all for hire.
Yeah. So all these creators did so much work building this amazing universe, and then Marvel just sucks it up like a vacuum and just
Yeah.
repurposes it. And
Unless you're like one of the head guys like
Yeah.
Stan Lee, and even he didn't, he wasn't rich at the end.
there has to be a way to fix that problem. It's like, why should I give of myself to something else when I'm not going to get the benefits of it? And like, I feel like there has to be a way to, especially with AI and stuff coming out, there has to be a way to pay these creators for their work. And
Well, what I'm thinking is like, how do people like you and I get residuals? Let's get some residuals out of Hollywood. Like,
why in the world will I get residuals?
I don't know. We got to find a way. Dude.
I haven't done anything.
Don't you want I want residuals.
Well, I would love residuals. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, give me some residuals.
I also want a pig that flies in the air and poops out money. When you see that, let me know. I'll take it.
Right. I'm just saying, before I fight for these other guys to get residuals, I want to start seeing some.
Yeah, if you lift someone else up, you're lifting yourself up, Mike.
That's right. No, that's true.
Anyway, hit me with these questions. I see you have a couple questions.
Not really questions, just things to talk about. So a lot of this is based on the early episodes of the series because I didn't make it anywhere near as far as I wanted to. But we do open up with there being. I was surprised, like the first 2 episodes, Sentinels are here.
Yeah.
They're attacking. They're attacking Jubilee. That's how we get hurt. We get started. But there's the Mutant Control Agency at the beginning of the show. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we've talked about this before. We talked about X-Men. The key thing you have to understand about the X-Men is that they're a metaphor for the discrimination and prejudices in our society. And so you can take the mutants and you can apply any other minority group that we have in our society right now, and it fits really well. It's actually interesting. The Mutant Control Agency is kind of like an offshoot of the Mutant Registration Act, which was an act that said if you're a mutant, you have to register. And I'm going to talk about this in a couple of different ways for our listeners. So it's weird. Like, can you imagine that if you're a mutant and the government says we need you just to tell us you're a mutant, we're not going to do anything to you or anything like that, but you just have to give us your DNA and register yourself as a mutant so we know. Like, there's a reason why we don't do that kind of stuff. There's a reason why people are very hesitant to do that. Like, there's a bunch of different bills, and this is going to sound weird at first. There's a bunch of different bills in different states right now about pornography. And right now they have these bills that say that you can't log into, like, let's say Pornhub without putting in your driver's license. Who's going to put in their driver's license into a porn registry? That sounds like the stupidest thing in the world. Like, no one's going to do that because that's going to get abused at some point. Like, someone's going to be like, hey, we noticed you watch porn. We have a record of it. Like, what? Well, who would do that? And on the flip side of that, there's these little hints of of registrations about, hey, we want a registry of every woman who's had an abortion in this country.
Yeah, that's the more that's the closer analog that I see is that where they're trying to now register women that are pregnant or of the age of pregnancy.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
Crazy.
The thing is, I'm not saying that the United States government is malfeasant, but I am saying that the United States government has a history of being that way. And like, who knows when someone's in power, they're like, oh, look, we have a huge registry of all these women who can get pregnant. Let's use that to our advantage. I love the fact that the X-Men have always been like 30 years ahead of the stuff that we see now. Like, like these really good writers and creators. And a good creator and a good writer sees the future, right? That's one of the things we have to do is try to predict what's going to happen. And like, this is easy to see, right? Like the idea that mutants would be abused, that mutants would be hunted. And like, we've talked about this before. If we had like 1% of our population, which would be 3 million people, if 3 million people in the United States had superpowers, the government of the United States would find all of them and try to lock them up, use their powers, something like that. And that's not, and I'm not being like hyperbolic. That's absolutely true. Like if we had people who could shoot lightning out their hands and can manipulate the weather, you don't think the United States government's going to find that person and be like, you're going to work for us and you're going to do things for us. Oh, you can shoot optic blasts out your eyes. Guess what? You're joining our military. Like that's how it would look. And it's really interesting. It's really important to understand that there would be people who would fight against it, like Magneto and Professor X. So again, this show very quickly encapsulates all the good things about the X-Men. It was one of the things I loved.
Very cool. I have a feeling they're probably going to be showing up in these new episodes.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot. I mean, it's timely, and the weird thing is, it's been time. It's always been timely. Like so they're definitely going to do some interesting things. 100%. I'm curious.
X-Men started out being woke, and they continue to be woke.
Yeah, X-Men
shall forever be woke.
Yeah, X-Men were the original woke.
Right.
Before woke was woke, X-Men was out there. If you were reading X-Men comic books, you were super woke. And that's funny because a lot of people have read X-Men comics.
Or you should have been. Yeah. Like it should have wakened you up.
Yeah.
If it didn't, there's something wrong with your brain.
If you've read X-Men comic, but you're a racist, you've missed the plot. You've missed a lot of different things.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's funny. There is a weird thing about racism and X-Men comics. It's a strange thing. Like a lot of people didn't like that Storm became a leader at some point. They think there's too many like black and brown X-Men. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what's going on? That's just
like, yeah. Again, something wrong with their brains.
Yeah,
man.
You missed the plot. Anyway, keep going.
Storm. I did not remember that she has an accent. She has an accent in the cartoon.
She's African, so she should have an accent all the time. But she definitely has one in the cartoons.
Is Egyptian African?
Yes.
Okay. Because she's from Egypt.
Well, she's African.
Okay. It is part of Africa, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think of it as being African, though.
I do.
You do. Okay.
Most people do, Mike.
Well, that's a difference of our perspective, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm more European
do I need to get you
oriented,
a map?
And you're more African oriented.
Do I need to get you a map?
But they are on the part of Africa that like bumps up against Europe.
Well, I would say
that's why their skin color is different.
If anything, we could talk about Storm being Middle Eastern, but she's not. She's African. And in fact, I didn't know she was from Egypt. I thought she was from someplace else.
Cairo. She grew up in Cairo.
No, she grew up in Cairo. She's not from Cairo. She grew up there.
Okay.
She's from someplace else. I gotta look that up.
Interesting. Yeah, she does look more deeper Africa, I guess, than Northern Africa. Southern Africa. Let's say so. Deeper is a bad adjective for Africa.
Keep digging that hole, Mike.
Southern Africa. She's more Southern African than Northern.
I think she's either West African or East African. I have to look that up. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Deeper. That's a bad word. Character. Bad word. Don't use that word.
Well, you're the editor, so you can edit anything out you want. Let's see here.
I was going for like a deep South. We have the deep South in America.
Oh, guess what? She's Kenyan.
Kenyan. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely African. Yeah. All right. Did you see the really bad 3D models that showed up sometimes during the end credits?
Yeah, it was horrible.
I remembered seeing them like when they showed up again. I was like, oh, I remember those. Although I'm sure at the time I thought they were super cool.
It was
now they look really, 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 really bad.
I mean, it's the late 90s. I mean, we were doing the best we could,
Right. Like they probably looked better than whatever was on the PlayStation at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was playing Destiny 2 the other day, and and I might have had some let's just say
tea.
I might have had some herbs, some herbal tea at the time. And I was looking at the character models and the action, and I was like, this looks so good. Like when I was a kid, we had Mario Brothers, and we had like a couple bits bouncing around the screen. And now you have these super detailed characters, like looking like lifelike, running around the screen. It's really
that's crazy.
And like Destiny 2 is like the low bar of that kind of stuff,
Yeah, that's pretty old. Right?
Yeah, so considering like how it's crazy how crazy video games have come. Anyway, go ahead.
Jubilee.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters.
Me too. I really remember. I love Jubilee. Don't know why.
I think because she was in our age group. She was around the same age we were.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
she's young.
Yeah, right now it's funny. She's young. She's like 50 years old as a character, and she has a kid in the current comic books.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I like that.
And you know her real name is?
Yeah, hang on a second. It's Jubilation Lee.
Yeah, it's Jubilation. I always thought that was fun. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Yeah, I like it. She says, "It's not my fault. I can't help the way I was born."
Yeah.
Is it possible that that's an analog to something?
Yeah, being gay, probably.
You think that's just no, it can't be, right? That would be woke. This is probably just coincidence or something, right? They didn't intentionally put that quote in there.
It's such a good quote.
Or give her that dialogue.
It's such a good quote. And it's weird. It's not weird, but if you talk to some people about this, some people will say that you were born gay. Some people say that you decided to be gay, and some people say it doesn't matter. And I've started leaning on it doesn't matter. Kind of feel like it doesn't matter who cares. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's interesting. That is definitely
there might be some people that decide to be,
Yeah, and well,
I don't know.
Well, this quote is like it kind of brings up like again like prejudices, and it's true. Like if you're a mutant, you can't help that you were born this way. And if you look at being a mutant versus being black or gay, being a mutant is so much more different than who you have sex with or the color of your skin, because you can actually do things physically with your body. Like Magneto can manipulate metal, that's a crazy ability. To think that, to think how crazy our world is when it comes to bigotry and racism now versus if we had mutants in our society, good Lord, it would be a disaster. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I would definitely be on the Magneto train. We would have to take over the world. We'd have to. We have no choice.
Okay. Unrelated, I have another quote here from Cyclops. So you can tell that this was in the 90s. He has a line where he goes, "Of course. Not." So you remember the old "not"
Remember
thing?
It. I say that once a week.
Oh, yeah. You're keeping "not" alive.
Oh, yeah. Not. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah! I thought that was interesting. That brought back
good Lord
memories, whether they're fun or not. Who knows?
We said that so much.
Yeah, it was a lot. There was like a Saturday Night Live episode or a skit, I think, that was all about that. I don't know.
Oh man, it's terrible. Those are fun. Those were days. Back in those days,
simple days.
We had no worries.
That's right.
Yeah, everything was fine. Like we had Bill Clinton in the White House. We were making
presidents were presidents.
Yeah, we were making money hand over fist because of the tech boom. Right. Like everything. Everybody had some cash. We didn't have any kind of crazy wars.
Right.
And then
it'd been really long since any kind of major recession or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, what a fun time! It really was fun. I wish you guys remember it. It was great.
We're alive for it. Yeah, it was nice.
From 1990 to 2000, that was a great 10 years. It really was a great 10 years.
It was. Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of crazy school shootings. They banned assault rifles.
Right. They were banned. Yeah.
For a while. What else? It snowed in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's true. Snowed in the winter. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. The biggest problems we had were like drinking and driving, and like pot use. People were smoking pot.
Oh yeah, that was highly illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but I remember pot being like a deadly drug.
That's probably the worst. Like going back in time, that would be the worst part of it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Depending on how much you're how much you partake.
Yeah, I can't remember what else was going. Is there anything else bad happened then? I don't think so. We had terror.
I mean, racism was probably still at about the same level, right?
I would say racism then in the 90s was just the same as you have now, but it wasn't weaponized as much.
Right. It was more
at
a simmer.
Yeah. You could afford to go to college if you had a job.
That's true. Houses were more affordable.
Yeah. No wonder this cartoon was. No wonder
cars weren't insanely expensive.
Yeah,
do you know how much the average price of a car is these days?
$40,000.
Yeah, it's like in the high 40s, I think.
Yeah, that's the average price for a car.
The last time I bought a car, I was like, I'm never going to buy a car over $30,000.
My most expensive car I bought was $10,000.
Nice.
And I sold. I don't even have a car now, which is great.
That's good.
Anyway, yes, no wonder we're so nostalgic for these cartoons. It was a great time.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
We don't have those anymore.
Ugly mutants live underground.
They call them Morlocks.
This
Morlocks.
Show, yeah.
Morlocks, Mike. They call them Morlocks.
Do you think that's where Morlocks and World of Warcraft came from?
Probably. It's based off of the Time Machine by what's his name?
Oh, that's right. French dude?
What's his name? Wells.
Oh, H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells. Mm-hmm. So it's based off that. So the Morlocks lived underground, and then you had the other people. I forget their name. They lived on top. But yeah, the Morlocks were this. I mean, if you think about it, if you're a mutant and you have like severe, if you have severe physical abnormalities, you would have to go somewhere and hide. And so having them live underground makes sense to me. Sadly, it does. They'd be.
It's literally though. It's the ugly mutants. The pretty mutants get to live on the surface.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The ugly mutants have to live underground.
I mean, the mutants, they get to pass, right? They get to be on the surface. But if you have...
Well, I mean, let's see who doesn't. Beast doesn't pass, but he's cute or pretty.
Yeah, he's got blue. Yeah, exactly. And and I would say his intelligence allows him to kind of be in society a different way versus a mutant with like a claw for an arm, or has like severe...
He's like a squirrel instead of a rat.
I would say that's pretty good. And even Angel, has like these... Before he turned to Archangel, had these beautiful wings, and he was also physically beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like it's really interesting when you think about the Morlock storyline. Again, good writers predict the future, predict what would happen. So that was a really good one for
them. Juggernaut says that his powers are magical, not mutant.
True.
What?
Yeah, it's true.
I thought you were going to get mad about this.
No, it's absolutely true. He's not a mutant.
How does he have magical powers? I thought none of the powers in the Marvel Universe were magical.
What? There's tons of magic powers in the Marvel Universe.
Who has...
Okay. Doctor Strange?
That's magic?
Yeah, yes. Doctor Strange.
It's not cosmic powers?
No. Okay, no. It's magical powers.
Okay.
We have lots of magic out there.
Okay.
No,
you learn something new every day.
Marco Kane went, who is actually Professor X's stepbrother, by the way. He went to some kind of jungle place to kind of look around and some stuff. I don't know what he was doing.
Oh, I remember you telling me
and found this crystal and it gave him the Juggernaut powers. But
that's right.
In the movies, they made him a mutant, which was a mistake. He's not a mutant. It's magical. It's actually really interesting. Juggernaut's powers. You can actually read more about him. His abilities are actually connected to like a bunch of myths and folklores, and like his unstoppable ability is like it's like a whole thing. It's really interesting.
Okay.
He was a good guy. He turned into a hero for a while, but then turned back to a villain, and that goes back and forth. He's a very annoying card when you play Marvel Snap.
Have you played that recently? It's been a long time since I
play Marvel Snap about once every couple of days.
You're back into it.
Yeah, I play it and then get my butt kicked and quit in rage.
Okay, I switched. I'm a Warcraft Rumble guy these days.
Warcraft Rumble, is that something I should get on my phone?
You should definitely check it out. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
We'll see.
Put it on. Talk to me about it.
Send it to me in a text message link, so I can definitely not want to do it.
We'll do it. Now we fast forward all the way through the middle seasons and episodes of the cartoon, and I have one note from the last episode of the series, and it's Mutant Containment Bill.
I think
we start off with the Mutant Control Agency,
yeah,
and we end up with the Mutant Containment Bill. There's a guy that's like in front of Congress. He's like, "We must sign my Mutant Containment Bill, and I'm going to reveal Professor X as a mutant by using this Radio Shack gizmo that I have in my hand." And he blasts Professor X, and sets apart the demise of Professor Xavier.
Henry Peter Garrick. Henry Peter
Garrick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's definitely not a fan of mutants at all.
No, he doesn't like them.
And like
they're different.
And he
says they're different from us.
Well, they are. I would say better, right? You saw the final episode. Tell us about what happens in the final episode, so we can kind of get ready for the premiere.
Okay, so yeah, that's the beginning. Then there's a bunch of stuff that happens in the middle you don't really need to know about.
Probably need to know some of it, but that's okay.
You know, Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey, they go to find Magneto, get Magneto's help to save Professor X. Magneto's the only person that can do that. Magneto's like, oh, okay, I'll come and help. Fine, whatever. Even though he was leading a rebellion at the time. He was leading a rebellion because of Professor X's attack, or the attack on Professor X. That gave Magneto the opportunity to lead a rebellion, worldwide rebellion of mutants. And mutants are like rising up in all kinds of cities across the planet.
I like it. I'm for that. I'm for that.
Okay. So Magneto comes back. He like helps Professor X reach some alien. I did not note the name of or species of alien.
Wait, this is actually really important, so hang on. I gotta find it. It's the Shia Empire, and her name is Leandria, I think. I think that's pronounced it, Leandria. There's so Professor X.
That's exactly right. You nailed that. Yeah.
Professor X has a love affair. He's in love with the leader of the Shia Empire, and so that's what he connected to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so they basically cheap out as much as you could possibly cheap out on a character's death. So instead of dying, Professor X does not die. But what he does instead is the how do you say their name? The Shia?
Shia.
Shia.
Yeah, Shia. SH
so
apostrophe IAR.
He can only remain alive under care of the Shia. So instead of dying, he has to ascend the earthly realm into this faraway celestial world where he can remain alive.
I like it.
So that's the end. He dies, but he doesn't die.
I mean, we know he's going to show back up in the new series, right?
You think so?
Yeah, he's going to come back.
You think maybe he'll show up with like a spacesuit? You know.
Well, the thing is, in X-Men,
he can't survive on Earth without the Shia care, so he's got like a spacesuit.
Yeah,
he can show it back on Earth because it's like self-contained.
Well, no, hang on.
Shia care.
God, give me a second. I'm going to show you a picture.
Oh no!
Hang on, if I can find it.
Is this a leak? Are you showing me a leak?
It's not a leak. It's from the comics, but I'm trying to figure out if I can find it for you.
Did the same thing happen in the comics?
Yes.
Did he die but not die in the comics?
He didn't die, but he went to space and he came back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here it is. I found it.
Did he go to space because he couldn't survive anymore?
I'm not really sure why he went to space. But he came back, and that's what kind of started the X-Men series. Hey, I got a great picture for you to look at. So let's remember this when we actually start this to you. Let's remember this when we start the series. He might show back up in this outfit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's exactly what I was imagining.
Yeah, and he didn't know
minus the cape.
Yeah, he didn't know that the fans didn't know who he was until he took his helmet off.
Oh. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, so you want my predictions?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
1, Professor X will return in some form towards the end. That'll be a major point of the story, him coming back. 2,
you're probably right.
Jean Grey and Cyclops. Jean Grey is pregnant. We've seen that in trailers. Her birth is going to be a big deal. It's going to be Cable, of course, but we'll see how that works out. We're not sure.
Some people are saying that they don't believe that's Jean Grey.
It might be her clone Madeline, which is true. 3.
Jean Grey's alive in the last episode of.
I'm not sure how it would work, but it might be Madeline, so we'll have to figure out.
Because this new series is supposed to pick up like minutes from where.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
The other one leaves off. Yeah.
Yeah. 3. Amazing.
The reason the new series is called X-Men '97 is because that's the year that the old series ended.
Yeah. 3. I think the New Mutants are going to show up because in the X-Men comics, when Professor X was gone and Magneto took over leadership of the team, that he started the New Mutants. So I think that
who did?
Magneto. What?
Magneto started the New Mutants.
He didn't start them, but he led them for a while. So I think
maybe X-Men 97 is really more. It's going to be about the New Mutants.
The New Mutants are almost 100% guaranteed
because he does inherit every. Apparently, Professor X gave everything to Magneto in the first episode of this new series.
I almost promise you the New Mutants are going to show up.
Okay, I think that sounds highly likely
because they're young characters. They're kind of new. It'd be fun to see them.
Oh, interesting.
And my last prediction is that the end of the season will be a cliffhanger of some sort. Of course,
no,
it's definitely going to happen. But I'm not sure what storyline they're going to go through. I'm not sure what storyline they're going to work on with this. There's so many different X-Men storylines. I'm trying to think of the storyline that they haven't covered in the X-Men 97.
So we know that they've already written a second season of this show.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be a cliffhanger.
And the guy that was recently fired pitched a third season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to wait until we start watching it. But there's so many different storylines they can go through. The one storyline I can see is the No More Mutants storyline, where Scarlet Witch takes away 90% of all mutants' powers. But I don't know how they're going to work that out. I don't think that's going to be it. It might be some. I'm not sure what they're going to do. So I don't want to speculate too much. But I'm curious to see what it goes. Those are my predictions, which are not great.
Okay.
All right, that's it. I think we're pretty good, right? We're good. X-Men.
I think we're good. I think we're as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah. So hey, if you love the X-Men cartoon, watch a couple episodes, realize they look like butt right now, and then wait for the X-Men 97 comics shows to drop. It drops on Wednesday.
Right. Maybe scan through the episode titles and pick out a few that sound cool.
I like that one. Yeah. And also, get ready to watch it. 97 would be fun. We're going to be covering, so we're going to do it every week, right, Mike? So every week we're going to watch the X-Men episode, talk about it.
That's right.
Talk about how it works. Really, and the cool
every Thursday we should have a new podcast talking about the show that showed up on Wednesday.
Sounds good. So it'll be super fun. Get ready for that. All right, we got some news you can abuse.
I want to get started. I just briefly mentioned that the guy got fired. So about a week ago, Marvel fired the creator of X-Men 97, and I guess he was also the head writer. He wrote most of season, he was the head writer for season 1, had finished writing season 2 and had pitched season 3. He got fired. He deleted all of his social media accounts. We don't know anything more than that.
We don't know why he got fired.
Right. Nobody has said anything.
It's either sexual.
But the fact that he deleted all of his social media accounts doesn't look good for him.
No, it's probably some kind of sexual assault stuff.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. That's terrible for him.
Yeah, rumors are coming out. He was also kind of abusive around the with the people working on the show. But those are rumors. Who knows?
I believe the rumors. You don't get fired from somebody like this unless you do something really bad.
Especially not right before the show comes.
Yeah, and it's a bad look on. It's a bad look for everybody because it gives the show a bad tinge.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. The buzz for the X-Men 97 is getting really good buzz. It's getting really, really good buzz. I'm going to read you some quotes from some smart people who got jobs as critics. Okay. This is from, let's see, who is this? Tisa Smith. I don't know who this is, but she says, overwhelmed with emotions. She said, to me, my X-Men to have this series back has overwhelmed me with emotion. I've seen the first 3 episodes, and each one brought me to tears. So many characters and storylines done perfectly in caps, which is not necessary. I love having this team back. For those nervous, don't be. This show is incredible. Another quote from Greg Alba says, after rewatching the original X-Men miniseries and now the first couple of episodes of X-Men 97, I can honestly say the series is fantastic. It's how you remember preserving the characters and themes, yet evolved with a more cinematic touch and beautiful action scenes. Okay, cool.
Well, that's good. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, and then Russ Milham says, just saw the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97, and I can confidently say that fans of the original X-Men series will be very happy with it. I also really enjoyed the updated animation style. It would be great to have the X-Men back in the spotlight. So there you go.
Nice.
Now, see, this is cool because the X-Men cartoon led the way to the X-Men movies, and so maybe that's what we're thinking about here. Maybe they're going to do that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next up, you're not getting a Hulk movie anytime soon. There's an article about this. Kevin Feige has said that it's not going to happen. So they own the rights to it, and they can't get the rights. That's what happens when you sell your rights to everybody because you're broke, and then when you get money, you try to buy them back. Nobody wants to sell it to you.
Which is they have a really high price.
So disappointing. I think I have a quote. He says here. This is someone talking to Mark Ruffalo, and Mark says,
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, and then the interview says, "Do you get involved in the scripts?" And then Ruffalo says, "What would you like to do?" He says here, Kevin Feige's asked me, Mark Ruffalo, "What would you like to do?" He said, "What would you do if you had a standalone Hulk movie?" And then Mark Ruffalo said, "Well, I'd like to take him from this raging maniac to sort of this integrated character." And Kevin is like, "Okay, we'll do that over the course of 4 movies. We'll never give you a standalone Hulk. Let's just get that. Don't mean to burst your bubble, but that's not happening. So we'll do it over the 4 movies." So they kind of gave. So they talk. So this conversation with Mark Ruffalo is like he was
like a long time ago.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago. But there was a conversation about having a standalone Hulk movie, but instead they can't get a standalone Hulk movie because of the rights. And then they said, okay, we'll have the Hulk through the Avengers movies transition through the Avengers movies. And that actually makes sense when you look at Avengers 1, Avengers 2, Avengers 3. Yeah, so it's like when you watch all the Avengers movies, you're watching the Avengers movies, but you're also watching the Hulk's evolution, which is a cool way to look at it now.
Yeah.
I never thought that before. But now when you really think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not getting a Hulk movie.
Any other sequels we're not getting?
Yeah, we're not getting the Eternals. It's over. You're not getting the Eternals, guys. It's not happening.
What's the news here?
So these are
just the fact that
these are canceled.
No one ever thought this was going to happen.
Yeah, these are some canceled projects that just got killed off. Like War Machine's done. We're not getting a Humans movie. The Eternals is reported.
They canceled War Machine?
Yeah, War Machine's not happening. But wait, War Machine is different than the Armor Wars.
Oh, okay.
That's a new thing that's supposed to be done, but we hasn't heard anything yet. Eternals 2 isn't happening, which I mean, it's sad. We should get Eternals 2 to finish it all up so we can.
In a perfect world, we would get it, but they've got too much on their hands already. We don't need the Eternals. Let's not do a sequel.
That kind of feels sad to me. There has to be a way we can get that story about what happened to them.
They just got too much. I mean, they've got too much on their hands. Like they can't tie all that stuff together. They can't do it.
There's a whole thing about all these. The article also talks about.
We don't even have a sequel to Shang-Chi yet.
No, that's true.
You know, how many years has it been since that movie came out?
That's true. There's also a bunch of information about old movie ideas that got trashed. You don't really need to see these, but they're there.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of glad some of these movies was sucked. All right. But here's this interesting thing. The title of this article says that we're getting a Nova movie. However, that's not true. Nova is in development. Now, I won't read a quote. This is a quote from a dude. This is Brad Wonderbaum. He works at Marvel. Here's what he says. He says, "We love Nova. We are in really early development on Nova. We have a new system behind the scenes at Marvel Studios. We're more like a traditional studio now. We're developing more than we actually will produce. There are plans to develop Nova. I love Nova 2. I love Rich Rider 2. I hope it gets to the screen. The world is always chaos. There's always things. You gotta conjure these things to make them happen. But I would love to see Nova show one day." Now, this is interesting. I don't care about the Nova development. This is what is interesting. He says, there's a new system at Marvel Studios. It's more like a traditional studio now. And it says, we're developing more than we actually will produce. Which means they have a bunch of people in some rooms developing scripts and story ideas.
Yeah, working on scripts, working on storyboards.
Yeah, and then the execs will get pitches from them, and they're like, yes, no. Which is different because before it was like, we're going to do this, we're not going to develop anything, here's what we're doing. So it's an interesting change. We'll see how it works, but it's good and bad. The good part is that we're going to get, a lot of development. They're going to develop a lot of stuff. They probably developed over 24 things already. The bad thing is that we might not get that, because they might not greenlight it. So
right.
So you should assume that they're developing all kinds of
Well,
stuff.
we wish they had this in place when Secret Invasion was being talked about.
Yeah, that should have been developed. 100%. That was not developed.
Develop that, don't produce it.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, I just watched I watched half of the Marvels, which holds up. You should watch it. Have you watched it yet? Twice yet? Again? Yeah.
I don't think I've watched it since it hit Disney Plus yet.
Yeah, it holds up well. I was under the influence of herbal tea at the time. And I did rewind a couple action scenes 4 times just to kind of really see it.
The cat scene, I'm assuming, was one of them.
The cat scene and also the fight in the house. There was a cool move that Marco Rambo did. I was like, I have to see that. What did I just see? There's a lot of herbal tea involved.
That's good.
But it holds up. It holds up well. It's a fun movie. Anyway, that's it.
Nice.
That's the news you can't abuse. It's interesting about the development stuff. That's interesting.
That is interesting, yeah. You don't think about that a lot, but yeah, that's definitely the way.
All right, Mike.
The way Hollywood works.
Yeah. Next week, X-Men 97. We're going to do Thursday podcast, right, Mike?
That's right. Yeah, we'll be talking about that on Thursday.
Thursday recordings.
97.
Yeah, so look out for Thursday recording sessions from us. Mike,
do you think the second season will be called X-Men 98?
I hope so. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'd be cool. X-Men 2008. There's a 10-year jump.
That could be good.
Yeah. That'd be fun. That's creative. Mike, how can our listeners get this to other people's ears? Share this with their friends and families. How can we get people to listen to our podcast?
Well, hey, it's 1997, so
I wish.
Put your cassette in your jam box.
Nice.
And take it onto like your public transit with you. Just play it. Just play it for them. And when they ask you, hey, what is that you're listening to? Write it down on a sheet of paper and hand it to them. Say, hey, this is it's the Super Sideshow podcast. You can find it by typing that in to altavista.com.
You remember Jinkos?
Is that the jeans?
Yeah.
I do not actually remember them at the time. I have heard that they were a thing.
People still wear those things, man.
They were not a thing where I was at. Were they a thing where you were at?
Very much.
In the 90s?
Very much.
These are like ridiculously wide jeans.
Yeah, the bigger the Jinkos you had, the more of an awesome person you were.
Right? Okay. Nobody I knew wore those.
God, we look like idiots. We look like clowns walking down the street.
Did you have some?
I had a pair of Jinkos, but they weren't like big. They were just a pair. But I look like
yours were moderate Jinkos.
I look like an idiot. I look like a moron. Just like I look like the dumbest kid on the block, but you couldn't tell me anything.
Right? Yeah, man. They were the thing. Yeah.
What a crazy time! It's amazing what happens to a culture when it's at peace and nothing bad's happening. you know. I don't want to get too twisted. The 90s, gay marriage was still illegal. We still had some issues with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
The Middle East was a complete disaster, which is one of the reasons.
I mean, has anything changed?
No, but it's just kind of amplified. It's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next week for X-Men.
On Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. Not even next weekend, a couple days. X-Men.
Yeah, a few days.
97.